First, I wanted to ask you about the fair today, and I guess the importance of having this event here, given the situation with the office and that kind of thing.
I mean, gosh, I'm now the third member of Congress to be fighting to try to get a Social Security office, or keep it now, and get back a Social Security office in Auburn, but realistically it's just not going to happen in the near future. And so what we're trying to do in cooperation with the Social Security office in Syracuse is make sure that people are accessible, who can help people with their Social Security claims or problems, and without them having to drive all the way to Geneva or Syracuse. So it's not a substitute for a full office, but at least we can get people the service they need. And then the other thing that's important is to make sure that people know that, okay, although there's no Social Security office in Auburn, there is an office of Congressman Dan Maffei in Auburn, and we can hook you up with the Social Security Administration and help with your issues that way. So it's also a good way to publicize that.
Can you talk to me, an update on like the situation with the chain CPI? Because I know that was at the proposal stage,
Yeah.
but how realistic that it will become reality?
I mean, I think right now it's not so much that there's a chain CPI has it's this program that would slowly lower the index for inflation for Social Security. And the reason why I'm so opposed to it is because I've seen seniors getting almost no cost of living adjustment here in central New York, and yet their cost of living is going up. So we need to make adjustments to Social Security. I just don't think that's the right one. But because Congress can't do anything right now, is having trouble passing anything, that also is not going anywhere. So there'll be a time when I'll get more concerned about that. But at the moment, the biggest issue in Washington is that the Republicans can't even agree themselves, and they control the House right now. So if everyone else is kind of caught in the middle, and unfortunately, often seniors are caught in the middle of the Republicans fighting with themselves about how much government they want.
I know yesterday you hosted a education roundtable. I guess what did you take away from that? I mean, I was there for a short time. Funding seemed to be an issue. Certain early childhood education concerns there.
Well, our public schools are really in a sort of a period where they're facing a lot of fiscal challenges, and we want to make sure that people can send their kids to a decent public school. It's for the middle class, and right now it's hard to get an education there, and we're not serving either the middle class or the poor, and that's a problem. Some of it is resources, but what I learned yesterday is a lot of it is controls from above. Washington telling teachers and principals that their students have to pass a certain test by a certain time, and what they should study exactly, and that the more flexibility we can give, the easier it will be for teachers to figure out creative ways to teach their kids. Kids all learn in different ways, but right now we're not acknowledging that on the federal level. So I've been very critical of the Obama administration. I'm a Democrat, but I'm critical of the president on this because I don't think their education policy is doing what we needed to do, which is give some support but allow for local control.
And lastly, I wanted to ask you, I was reading this morning about, how the Republicans plan on spending their August recess, kind of like this anti-Washington push. I guess, what do you make of that, and what would, your own approach be during this recess?
The thing with the Republicans is that, and I'm friends with a lot of Republicans, and I don't blame them for wanting to be out of Washington. I'm glad to be out of Washington for a month, working here in the district instead. They call it recess, but, most of it I'm going to be working in the district because there's a lot of work to do here. The problem, though, is that we're not going to be able to solve the problems in Auburn or Syracuse or all those Republican districts unless we get Washington working again for the people. And like I said, there's so much infighting right now that even the most basic bill, transportation, making sure that we fund our infrastructure, they can't pass. It doesn't even, people say, well, what about Democrats? It doesn't even come to us. Right now, the Republicans themselves can't agree enough to bring the bill to the floor. So, yeah, I understand why they want to be out of Washington, but I hope at least the leaders get together and figure out a way to move forward, because it's the whole country is at stake, and we've got to make investments in our roads and our bridges and our ports, and in order to get our economy moving at the pace it should be. And right now, the government is stopping it, and that's not right. We can be both pro-business and make sure that the government works well and can be a helper, not a hindrance. And that's what I'm trying to do.